A few years ago, I was bent over picking something up off the floor when one of my daughters said, "Dad, why do you make that old man noise?" I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, every time you bend over, you make a noise like an old man." I said, "Well, that's ridiculous. I do not." And then I bent over to prove it to her. It strained a little bit, but I didn't let out a squeak. Sometime later, I bent over again and she says, "See, there it is again." And that really bothered me. I started to pay attention and I realized she was right. I grunted when I bent over. When it actually started, I can't remember. But to put on my shoes and socks or to bend over and pull a weed, I would let out a grunt sound. And then I thought, oh no, what's next? Is it the old man shuffle? Well, let me share with you something that I've noticed as I've approached the downside of the hill. As we advance in age, we don't lose strength very rapidly, but we lose flexibility at a dramatic rate. Thus, our muscles and joints get tighter. Bending over to put our shoes and socks on becomes tougher, and when we strain, we make funny noises. I just want you to consider that you've been warned now. Do we really have to wave the white flag and surrender to age, gravity, and injury? As we advance, as a normal person advances in age, they become more sedentary, and their muscles and ligaments tend to contract and shorten and maybe even fibrose. Because of that, we have decreased range of motion and a diminished function. Overuse, abuse, and injury just fast-track that process. As evidence of it, I challenge you to watch TV and look in magazines for the ads for all of those anti-inflammatories, painkillers, and muscle relaxants that are being marketed to hide those complaints. Now, I understand that, but it's kind of like driving down the street in your car when your oil warning light comes on. You put a piece of tape over the warning light and just keep on driving. There's nothing that's been fixed, but you've hidden the warning until there's some major breakdown. So what's the answer to this loss of flexibility? Not to oversimplify, but the answer to having decrease in fitness is to get fit. And the answer to a decrease in flexibility is to get more flexible. Now, how is that done? I'm going to share with you a dirty word. It's stretching. I know, most of you would rather have a root canal or scrub a public toilet or maybe wash the highest windows on the Empire State Building, but stretching really does have some benefits and can do the body good. Some of those benefits are things like improved circulation and flexibility, increased range of motion, relaxation of muscles and tendons, increase in performance, function, and even coordination while decreasing tension and stress. Now, there's a number of different techniques to stretching, but I'm going to boil it down to just two major ones, and that's ballistic and static. And here's where there's a lot of controversy. But because I'm in charge, I'm going to give you my opinions based on my experience and observation. Before a workout, I like and prefer the ballistic type of stretching. Properly done, it actually is about 70% warm-up and only 30% stretching. And it's exercises like we were taught in school, but done properly, things like jumping jacks and burpees and windmills and sit-ups. They warm up the muscles, they increase the blood supply, and they notify the body to get ready for the main event. It involves motion and maybe even a little bit of bounce, but never taking the stretch beyond the normal range of motion, and certainly not to the point of discomfort or pain, because otherwise we would risk injury. To stretch cold muscles is never a wise thing, so 5 to 10 minutes of ballistic warm-up usually is enough to get the job done. Now, after a game, event, or workout, I prefer the static form of stretch. It decreases tightness and discomfort. And with the static, you take the body part that you're stretching and put it to the point of tension, but not to the point of discomfort, and you hold it statically for 20 to 30 seconds. It relaxes and lengthens the muscles and tendons. The thing I like about it is it can be done anywhere and anytime. So the goal of stretching is to take you from inactivity to activity and back to inactivity while decreasing the muscle tension, increasing range of motion, and decreasing the possibility of injury. The best book I've ever seen on this subject is titled Stretching, authored by Bob Anderson. And since I've employed his techniques, I found that my senior citizen grunt has all but disappeared, and it should hold off the old man shuffle indefinitely.